They did not do the regular Wrestling Observer where they went through all the news of the companies. It was pretty much a special observer about the history of wrestling at the Tokyo Dome, which is cool. But for the people that like to hear all the news, it kind of sucks. But I guess everything shuts down for Dave Meltzer when Wrestle Kingdom goes on, because we all know that he is a huge fan of Japanese wrestling. Michigan Dipper says, "What's up? What's up to you, good sir?" I'll just briefly go over the thing that I found interesting regarding what Dave Meltzer reported today in the Observer, which was basically the breakdown of the history of wrestling at the Tokyo Dome. But I did listen to his radio show today too, which had more information from what was going on with all the companies. So I will get into that. But what he basically said was the last big stadium event that was held in Japan before wrestling events started being held in the Tokyo Dome was August 14th, 1967. Giant Baba defended his international heavyweight title against NWA champion Gene Kiniski from Vancouver, BC. That show drew 25,720 fans. They didn't do a show in front of a large stadium crowd again, any type of wrestling, until 1989, when the first Tokyo Dome events started happening. And the January 4th Tokyo Dome shows did not begin until 1992, when they became yearly events. The name Wrestle Kingdom was given in 2007, so it's only been called Wrestle Kingdom for a short period of time. I've never actually seen a Wrestle Kingdom event, only clips of it. Just because I'm not personally that big of a fan of New Japan. I love the style of wrestling, but I just can't get into it when it's not in my language, and it's a lot of like lighter weight wrestlers. Obviously, there's no Bruiser Brody or Stan Hansen that I'm aware of in this decade, because they're scared of having wrestlers come over there like me and beat up the Japanese wrestlers. I mean, I pinned AJ Styles actually 2 times in one night when he was IWGP, and they would not put that title on the line that night because they knew I could beat him if I wanted to. But I will give him respect. He at least fought me when he was champion, where Nick Aldis refused my invitation to come to Great North Wrestling, as did the NWA. Johnny Tyler just tipped me $3, sent me a sticker. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But as I was saying about Wrestle Kingdom, it had its ups and downs, according to Meltzer. It was big and popular until about 2002. Then the promotion, New Japan, lost popularity. They had numerous shows that sold 10,000 tickets or less. A lot of the earlier Tokyo Dome shows drew very well, but some also didn't draw well at all. When New Japan first started running Tokyo Dome, and this is something interesting because I was a WCW fan, and they would often show matches from a place called the Egg Dome. So I always wondered what that was, but they did answer it in here that the Tokyo Dome was called the Egg Dome because it looked like an egg, but they actually call the Egg Dome like the Big Egg in Japan. That's the nickname, the Big Egg, rather than the Egg Dome. So calling it the Egg Dome was incorrect. So that was the Wrestling Observer report this week. As I said, they seem to shut down. But I'll tell you the other news. In WWE news, Jimmy Hart turned 76 on January 1st. And he was on WWE TV the last time I saw him on a SmackDown episode, cheering on Shorty G from the outside of the ring. Now, what a great way to get a wrestler over, put a senior citizen that's 76 years old on the outside of the ring to cheer for you. Quigley Johnson just tipped me $10 and says, "Love your interviews. Keep up. Appreciate that." I'll put all that money towards new interviews. Next week in LA, I'm interviewing Kevin Sullivan and Sabu. Next week in LA, Chris Masters is going to be around. Ricky Banderas, all around January 10th. There's a big PCW Ultra show that I'm covering. Roberto Bravo says Impact sucks. I do have some Impact news that I'll get to later. But I was on the WWE news. Their WWE Backstage episode this week only had a 0.03 rating and 97,000 viewers. There is no AEW or NXT rating from last night yet. WWE did a U.S. title change at Madison Square Garden over the weekend. The last time there was a U.S. title changed at a house show was also at Madison Square Garden. Anthony Capel says, "Do we have tryouts for Great North Wrestling?" We give some people tryout matches. And other than that, if people send us videos to Great North Wrestling at gmail.com, we'll look at it. But unless you're a star, or you're paying your own travel coming in from a long distance area, chances are we may not use you, because the only people we really pay their travel are the bigger names and the talent that we already have as regular talent now, because the money just isn't there in indie wrestling. But we'll always usually check out videos that people send us. Also in AEW news, relations are apparently improving with New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. AEW has been loyal to Ring of Honor so far and not worked with New Japan, although they haven't really done much. New Japan has been loyal to Ring of Honor and not worked with AEW yet. However, they haven't been doing much with Ring of Honor lately, mainly because New Japan is also running in the US and they're very busy, and there hasn't been a lot of talent exchanges, according to Meltzer. Jericho was not on Dynamite this week, even though he's not wrestling in Japan until January the 5th. So technically, he probably could have wrestled on Dynamite or appeared on Dynamite if they had wanted him to. He's wrestling Tanahashi on the 5th in Japan with the stipulation if Tanahashi wins, he gets an AEW title shot. So they are acknowledging AEW now in New Japan having a match like that. In Ring of Honor news, what's happening now is Pierre-Carl Ouellet, former Canadian champion, is going to be a special guest at the January 6th NHL hockey game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets. So that's pretty cool that an NHL team is going to acknowledge PCO. When was the last time an NHL team has acknowledged a Ring of Honor champion? I don't know if it's ever happened. Let me know if it does. So that's a good thing for Ring of Honor. One other thing about Japanese wrestling is New Japan Pro Wrestling, according to the Wrestling Observer, is clearly number one right now. There's no clear number two. There's a big difference between New Japan Pro Wrestling and all the other companies. New Japan is the trending company there right now. Impact kicked New Japan Pro Wrestling off of AXS, allegedly because New Japan Pro Wrestling did not want to work with Impact Wrestling. And the New Japan show actually looks better and is better quality than the Impact Wrestling show. So having New Japan on their AXS TV station makes them look bad. The company that owns AXS TV owns Impact Wrestling. So since New Japan didn't want to work with them, Anthem booted them off TV. So that's pretty much it for today.